As the passengers began to board the flight to Los Angeles, the atmosphere inside the airplane was thick with tension. The weather forecast had predicted a severe storm, and everyone seemed to sense the impending turbulence. Anna, a passionate photographer with a suitcase full of dreams, stepped aboard with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She was heading to Los Angeles with hopes of showcasing her work at a prestigious art exhibition. As she made her way down the narrow aisle, she clutched her camera bag tightly, seeking some semblance of comfort. Brian, an engineer of software weary of his solitary existence, was already seated by the window. He glanced up briefly from his laptop as Anna approached and took the seat beside him. He had grown accustomed to traveling alone, his life revolving around lines of code and virtual connections. The prospect of turbulence did little to faze him, or so he thought, as he returned his focus to his computer screen. As the plane taxied down the runway, the initial jitters of takeoff were compounded by the darkening skies. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, delivering a somber reminder of the storm ahead. The seatbelt signs blinked on, and the flight attendants hurriedly prepared the cabin. Anna took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, while Brian closed his laptop, resigning himself to the inevitable bumps ahead. Minutes after takeoff, the aircraft began to shudder. A collective gasp filled the cabin as the plane was buffeted by the storm. Anna's knuckles turned white as she gripped the armrests, her heart pounding in her chest. Brian, feeling the same unease, turned to her with a reassuring smile. "First time flying in a storm?" he asked, his voice steady despite the turbulence. "Not exactly," Anna replied, her voice trembling slightly, "but it never gets easier." Brian nodded, understanding her fear. "I'm Brian, by the way," he offered, extending his hand. "Anna," she replied, shaking his hand with a tentative smile. As the plane continued to jostle, their conversation became a lifeline, a distraction from the chaos outside. They began to share stories, each anecdote punctuated by nervous laughter and the occasional gasp as the plane dipped and swayed. Anna spoke of her love for photography, how capturing moments through her lens brought her a sense of peace and purpose. She described her excitement and nerves about the upcoming exhibition in Los Angeles, her dream of making a mark in the art world. Brian listened intently, finding solace in her words. He shared snippets of his life as well, explaining his work as a software engineer and the loneliness that often accompanied it. He spoke of the long hours spent in front of a computer screen, the isolation that came with it, and his yearning for something more meaningful. As the plane hit another pocket of turbulence, Anna let out a nervous laugh. "I guess life is a lot like this flight," she mused. "Unpredictable, full of ups and downs." Brian chuckled, nodding in agreement. "Yeah, you never know what's coming next." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, each sharing bits of their lives that they rarely revealed to strangers. There was a vulnerability in the air, a rawness brought on by the shared experience of facing their fears together. The turbulence, though terrifying, had forged an unexpected connection between them. At one particularly rough jolt, Anna instinctively reached out, her hand brushing against Brian's. He looked at her, sensing the moment of vulnerability. "You know," he began hesitantly, "sometimes it's in these moments of chaos that we find something truly remarkable." Anna met his gaze, her heart racing for reasons beyond the turbulence. "What do you mean?" she asked softly. Brian took a deep breath, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess himself. Would you consider going out with me? I mean, once we land and everything." Anna blinked, taken aback by the suddenness of his question. But there was something genuine in his eyes, a sincerity that touched her deeply. Despite the storm raging outside, she felt a strange calm settling over her. "I'd like that," she replied, a smile spreading across her face. Brian's face lit up with relief and joy. "Really? That's great. I mean, I wasn't sure if—" Anna cut him off with a laugh. "Yes, really. Sometimes, the most unexpected moments lead to the best surprises." Their conversation continued, the turbulence gradually easing as the plane found a smoother altitude. They spoke of their hopes and dreams, their fears and frustrations, discovering a shared sense of longing for connection and meaning. The storm outside seemed to mirror the uncertainties in their lives, yet within the confines of the airplane, they found a sense of clarity and purpose. By the time the plane began its descent into Los Angeles, Anna and Brian felt like old friends, bound by the shared experience of facing their fears together. The initial tension had given way to a newfound sense of hope and excitement. As the city lights of Los Angeles came into view, they exchanged phone numbers, promising to meet up once they landed. As the plane touched down smoothly on the runway, the turbulence that had brought them together seemed like a distant memory. Anna looked out the window at the sprawling city below, feeling a sense of anticipation for what lay ahead. Brian, too, felt a renewed sense of purpose, his usual solitude replaced by the prospect of a new connection. As they disembarked, Anna and Brian walked side by side, their hearts lighter despite the storm they had weathered. The unpredictability of the flight had led them to an unexpected and profound connection, one that neither of them could have anticipated. In the chaotic and often turbulent journey of life, they had discovered that sometimes the most beautiful connections are born from the most unexpected moments. Their paths had crossed in the midst of a storm, but it was in the calm that followed that they found the promise of something truly remarkable. As they stepped into the bustling terminal of Los Angeles International Airport, they knew that their journey together was just beginning, a journey filled with endless possibilities and the promise of love in the most unexpected places. As the storm in the sky subsided and the plane stabilized, Anna and Brian found themselves continuing their conversation with an unexpected ease. The initial turbulence had brought them together in a moment of shared vulnerability, but now, with the plane flying smoothly, they delved deeper into each other's lives. "That was quite the scare," Anna said, her voice still carrying a hint of the adrenaline from the earlier turbulence. "Yeah, I don't think I've ever been that nervous on a flight before," Brian admitted, running a hand through his hair. "But talking to you really helped." Anna smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. "Same here. It's funny how a bit of fear can bring people together." Brian nodded. "So, Anna, tell me more about your photography. What kind of work do you do?" Anna's eyes lit up at the opportunity to talk about her passion. "I've been a photographer for about 10 years now. I mostly do portrait and street photography. There's something incredibly raw and real about capturing people in their everyday moments." "That sounds amazing. What brings you to Los Angeles?" Brian asked, genuinely interested. "I'm actually heading to LA for an art exhibition. It's a pretty big deal for me," Anna confessed, her excitement tinged with a bit of nervousness. "I've been working on this series for the past year, and it's finally getting some recognition." "Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations," Brian said, his admiration evident. "You must be really proud." "I am, but I'm also a bit terrified," Anna admitted with a laugh. "It's a lot of pressure, and I want everything to go perfectly." Brian gave her a reassuring smile. "I'm sure it will. From what you've told me, it sounds like you put a lot of heart into your work." "Thanks, Brian. That means a lot," Anna said, feeling a genuine connection forming between them. "What about you? What do you do?" Brian leaned back in his seat, contemplating how to describe his job. "I'm an engineer, a software engineer to be precise. I work on developing applications and software solutions for various companies." "That sounds interesting. Do you enjoy it?" Anna asked, sensing a potential story behind his words. "I do, for the most part," Brian said, a hint of weariness in his voice. "But it can be pretty isolating. I spend a lot of time coding and troubleshooting, often late into the night. It's not exactly the most social job." Anna nodded, understanding the sentiment. "I can relate to that. Photography can be pretty solitary too, especially when you're out there capturing moments alone." "Yeah, it's funny how that works," Brian said thoughtfully. "You can be surrounded by people, but still feel completely alone." Anna looked at him, sensing a deeper connection. "Have you been feeling that way for a while?" Brian sighed, his expression softening. "Yeah, I guess I have. My last relationship ended a while ago, and since then, it's just been work and not much else." Anna reached out and touched his arm gently. "I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds tough." "It is, but I guess I'm just trying to find my way, you know?" Brian said, looking into her eyes. Anna nodded. "I get it. I lost my mom recently, and it's been hard trying to move forward." Brian's expression turned sympathetic. I'm so sorry, Anna. That must be incredibly difficult. It is, Anna said, her voice tinged with emotion. But I think that's part of why this exhibition is so important to me. It's like a new beginning, a way to honor her memory and find my own path. Brian squeezed her hand gently. You're incredibly brave, Anna, and I'm sure your mom would be really proud of you. Thank you, Brian, Anna said, feeling a wave of gratitude. It means a lot to hear that. As they continued to talk, they discovered more about each other's lives and the personal challenges they had faced. The conversation flowed effortlessly, each revelation deepening their connection. They found solace in their shared experiences of loss and the search for new beginnings, realizing that they were not as alone as they had once thought. You know, it's strange, Brian said after a while. I never expected to have such a deep conversation on a plane. Me neither, Anna agreed with a smile. But I'm glad it happened. It's been a long time since I felt this connected to someone. Same here, Brian said, his eyes reflecting the sincerity of his words. Maybe this is exactly what we both needed. As the plane continued its journey towards Los Angeles, Anna and Brian's conversation became a sanctuary from the outside world. They shared stories, dreams, and fears, finding comfort in each other's presence. The turbulence that had initially brought them together seemed like a distant memory, replaced by a newfound sense of hope and possibility. Brian looked at Anna, a thought forming in his mind. Anna, would you like to grab a coffee or something once we land? I'd love to continue this conversation. Anna's heart skipped a beat at the invitation. I'd like that, Brian. I'd like that a lot. The plane began its descent, signaling the end of their flight, but the beginning of something new. As they prepared to land, both Anna and Brian felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. They had faced the turbulence together and emerged with a connection that neither had expected but both deeply valued. Here's to new beginnings, Anna said, raising an imaginary glass. To new beginnings, Brian echoed, smiling at her. As the plane touched down in Los Angeles, Anna and Brian knew that their journey together was just beginning. The city of dreams awaited them, filled with opportunities and adventures. And as they disembarked, side by side, they felt ready to face whatever came next, knowing that they had found something special in each other amidst the chaos of the skies. As the airplane stabilized and the initial turbulence subsided, Anna and Brian found themselves continuing their conversation with an unexpected ease. As the hours passed, they delved deeper into their personal lives, sharing details that went beyond the usual small talk of strangers on a flight. Anna reached into her bag and pulled out a worn, leather-bound album. I always carry this with me, she said, her voice tinged with a mix of pride and nostalgia. She opened it to reveal a collection of photographs, each one capturing a moment frozen in time. These are some of my favorite shots. Brian leaned in, genuinely interested. Wow, these are incredible, he said, flipping through the pages. You have a real talent for capturing emotion. This one, especially, he pointed to a black and white photo of a young girl playing in a fountain, her laughter almost audible through the image. It's like you've captured not just a moment, but a whole story. Anna smiled, her eyes reflecting a deep-seated passion. Photography has always been my way of understanding the world. I feel like each photograph is a piece of my soul. Impressed by her dedication, Brian decided to share something personal as well. You know, I've been working on this project, he began, hesitating slightly as if unsure how to proceed. It's an app designed to connect artists from around the world, allowing them to share their work, collaborate, and even find patrons. Anna's eyes lit up with interest. That sounds amazing. What gave you the idea? Brian sighed, a mix of excitement and weariness in his expression. I guess it came from my own experience. As a software engineer, I've always felt this disconnect from the creative world. I wanted to build something that could bridge that gap and provide a platform for artists to thrive. You're not just an engineer, Anna said, her voice filled with admiration. You're a creator in your own right. This app could change lives. Her words seemed to ignite a renewed sense of purpose in Brian. I hope so, he replied, his eyes meeting hers. But it's still a work in progress. There's so much to be done. Anna reached out and touched his arm gently. I believe in you, Brian. Your passion is evident. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Moved by her support, Brian felt a surge of gratitude. Thank you, Anna. That means a lot to me. As they continued to talk, the idea of exploring Los Angeles together began to take shape. Why don't we turn this business trip into an adventure? Brian suggested, a hint of excitement in his voice. Anna's eyes sparkled with the prospect. I'd love that. Let's see the city through each other's eyes. And so, they made a pact to experience Los Angeles together, blending their professional goals with personal exploration. They planned to visit art galleries, iconic landmarks, and even some of the lesser-known spots that only locals would know about. The next morning, they set out on their first adventure. As they walked through the bustling streets of Los Angeles, they discovered a shared love for both the grandeur and the hidden gems of the city. At each gallery, Anna would explain the nuances of the artwork, her passion for photography shining through in every word. This piece, she said, pointing to a striking photograph of an old man sitting alone on a park bench, reminds me of my grandfather. He was the one who introduced me to photography. He used to say that every picture has a voice, you just have to listen. Brian listened intently, feeling a deep connection to her stories. Your grandfather sounds like a wise man, he said softly. It's incredible how art can carry such personal meaning. Later, as they walked along the Santa Monica Pier, Brian shared more about his app. I envision a future where artists don't have to struggle to find an audience, he explained, where they can easily connect with others, share ideas, and grow together. Anna felt inspired by his vision. You're creating a community, she said, her voice filled with admiration. A place where artists can belong. Their days in Los Angeles were filled with moments of discovery and connection. They visited the Getty Center, where they marveled at the art and architecture. They strolled through the vibrant streets of Venice Beach, capturing the essence of the city through Anna's camera lens. Each moment seemed to bring them closer, their bond deepening with every shared experience. One evening, as they sat on a hill overlooking the city, Brian turned to Anna with a thoughtful expression. You know, I never expected to meet someone like you on this trip, he said. Someone who understands and shares my passions. Anna smiled, her eyes reflecting the city's twinkling lights. I feel the same way, Brian. This trip has been more than just a professional venture. It's been a journey of the heart. Their adventure in Los Angeles not only brought them closer, but also sparked new ideas and inspirations. Brian's app began to take on new dimensions as he incorporated Anna's insights and perspectives. And Anna found herself rejuvenated, her creative spirit soaring as she prepared for her art exhibition. As their time in Los Angeles drew to a close, they both realized that their connection was far more profound than they had initially thought. They had faced the turbulence of life together, finding solace and strength in each other's company. And as they looked towards the future, they knew that this was just the beginning of an extraordinary journey together. As the turbulence subsided and the plane landed smoothly in Los Angeles, Anna and Brian felt a mixture of relief and excitement. They had grown surprisingly close during the flight, sharing fears, hopes, and dreams. Now, with the vast city of Los Angeles stretching out before them, they were eager to continue their journey together. Their first day in Los Angeles was filled with the excitement of discovery. Anna, with her professional photographer's eye, was eager to capture the essence of the city. Brian, though more accustomed to the digital world, found himself equally enthusiastic about exploring the physical city. They decided to start their adventure with a visit to some of Los Angeles's famous art galleries. Walking through the streets, they found themselves at the entrance of the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, LACMA. As they walked in, Anna's eyes lit up. The vast halls of the museum, filled with art from various eras and styles, felt like a treasure trove waiting to be explored. Look at this, Brian, Anna said, pointing to a painting that caught her eye. The use of color here is just phenomenal. It tells a story without saying a word. Brian nodded, admiring the painting. It's incredible. You know, I never really appreciated art this way until now. Seeing it with you makes all the difference. Anna smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her. They continued to wander through the galleries, discussing the different pieces they encountered. The conversations were a blend of Anna's artistic insights and Brian's analytical yet curious perspective. Their exploration took them next to the Getty Center, where they were captivated by both the art and the stunning architecture of the place. The view of Los Angeles from the Getty was breathtaking, offering a panoramic vista of the city. They stood there for a while, taking in the sight. "This city is amazing," Brian said, his voice filled with awe. "I can't believe I've never taken the time to really explore it." Anna turned to him, her eyes reflecting the same awe. "It's like a giant canvas, full of stories waiting to be told." Later that afternoon, they decided to visit a smaller, lesser-known gallery that Anna had heard about from a fellow photographer. As they entered the intimate space, Anna was greeted by a familiar face. "Anna, is that you?" came a voice from across the room. It was James, an old mentor of hers from her early days in photography. "James, what a surprise!" Anna exclaimed, embracing him warmly. "I didn't expect to see you here." James smiled. "I didn't expect to see you either. What brings you to Los Angeles?" Anna explained her plans for the art exhibition and how she hoped to make a significant impact with her work. James listened intently, nodding in approval. "You've come a long way, Anna," he said. "Your passion and talent have always been evident. Don't ever doubt yourself. This exhibition is just the beginning." Anna felt a surge of confidence from his words. "Thank you, James. That means a lot coming from you." Brian, who had been quietly observing the exchange, felt inspired by Anna's determination and the support from her mentor. As they left the gallery, he turned to her. "Anna, seeing you so passionate about your work and hearing your mentor's encouragement has given me a lot to think about," he said. "I've been considering some new features for my app, but I've been hesitant about implementing them. Now, I feel like I should just go for it." Anna's eyes sparkled. "You should, Brian. Your idea has so much potential. Don't let fear hold you back." Their conversation continued late into the evening as they walked through the bustling streets of Los Angeles. They talked about their dreams, their fears, and the future. The connection between them grew stronger with each passing moment. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. They visited more galleries, iconic landmarks like the Hollywood sign and Griffith Observatory, and even took a stroll along Venice Beach, where Anna captured some stunning candid shots of the vibrant boardwalk life. One evening, as they sat at a cozy cafe, sipping coffee and watching the sunset, Brian brought up his app idea again. "Anna, I've been thinking a lot about what you said," he began. "I want to make my app more than just a tool for artists to connect. I want it to be a platform where they can showcase their work, collaborate on projects, and even find opportunities for exhibitions." Anna's face lit up. "That sounds amazing, Brian. It could be a game changer for so many artists out there." Brian smiled, feeling more determined than ever. "I'm going to start working on the new features tonight. Your encouragement means the world to me." As Brian delved into his work, Anna continued to prepare for her exhibition. She spent hours selecting and arranging her photographs, ensuring that each piece told a part of her story. Brian was there every step of the way, offering support and encouragement. One afternoon, while they were at a downtown gallery, Anna received some exciting news. The curator had reviewed her portfolio and was impressed. They offered her a prime spot in an upcoming exhibition. "Brian, I got it," Anna exclaimed, unable to contain her excitement. "They loved my work and want to feature me in the exhibition." Brian's face lit up with pride. "That's fantastic, Anna. I knew you could do it." As they celebrated her success, Brian's own project was coming together. He had implemented the new features and was getting ready for a beta launch. The support and inspiration they drew from each other fueled their respective endeavors. Their journey through Los Angeles had not only brought them closer but had also reignited their passions and dreams. The city had become a backdrop for their growing bond and shared ambitions. One evening, as they watched the city lights from a rooftop, Anna turned to Brian. "You know, this trip has been more than I ever expected. It's not just about the exhibition or the app. It's about finding something I didn't even know I was looking for." Brian took her hand, his eyes reflecting the same sentiment. "I feel the same way, Anna. Meeting you has changed everything." As they stood there, hand in hand, they realized that their connection was more than just a fleeting moment. It was the beginning of something profound and lasting. The turbulence that had brought them together had given way to a journey filled with promise and potential. Los Angeles had become a city of new beginnings for both Anna and Brian. Their adventures, their shared dreams, and the bond they had formed were just the start of an extraordinary journey together. As the days passed in Los Angeles, Anna and Brian found themselves drawn closer together. The initial connection forged in the turbulence of the airplane had blossomed into something deeper, more profound. They spent their days exploring the city, visiting art galleries, and discussing their dreams and aspirations. The chemistry between them was undeniable, a magnetic pull that neither could resist. One evening, as the sun set over the Pacific Ocean, casting a golden hue over the city, they found themselves at a quiet beach, walking along the shore. The waves lapped gently at their feet, and the air was filled with the soothing sound of the ocean. It was a perfect moment, one that seemed to exist outside of time. "Brian," Anna began, her voice soft yet filled with an underlying tension. "I need to tell you something." Brian turned to her, sensing the gravity of her words. "What is it, Anna?" She took a deep breath, her eyes reflecting the fading light of the sunset. I have feelings for you. Deep feelings. But I'm scared. I've been hurt before, and the thought of opening myself up again terrifies me." Brian reached out, taking her hand in his. "Anna, I understand. I've been through my own share of heartbreaks, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. I'm willing to take things at whatever pace you're comfortable with. You're worth it." Anna looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity there. She felt a warmth spread through her, a sense of safety she hadn't known in a long time. "Thank you, Brian. That means a lot to me." They continued their walk in comfortable silence, the bond between them growing stronger with each passing moment. Despite her fears, Anna couldn't deny the feelings that were blossoming within her. She felt a sense of hope, a belief that maybe, just maybe, this could be different. As the days turned into weeks, their relationship deepened. They shared more of their pasts, their hopes, and their dreams. Brian revealed his struggles with loneliness, how his work as an engineer often left him feeling isolated. Anna opened up about her past relationships, the pain of betrayal, and the fear of being hurt again. Through it all, they found solace in each other, a mutual understanding that brought them closer. One evening, as they sat in Anna's temporary apartment, surrounded by her photographs and the tools of her trade, Brian looked at her with a determined expression. "Anna, I want to help you with your exhibition." Anna looked up from her work, surprise evident on her face. "You want to help me? But how?" Brian smiled. "I know I can't take pictures like you, but I can support you in other ways. I want to be there for you, to help with the logistics, the setup, anything you need. I want to show you that I'm committed to being by your side, no matter what challenges we face." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. No one had ever offered her such unwavering support before. "Brian, that's incredibly kind of you. Thank you." In the days leading up to the exhibition, Brian proved true to his word. He was there every step of the way, helping with the setup, offering words of encouragement, and providing a steady presence that Anna found immensely comforting. The more time they spent together, the more her fears began to dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of trust and affection. The night of the exhibition arrived, and Anna stood nervously at the entrance of the gallery. The room was filled with people, all there to see her work. Brian stood beside her, his hand gently resting on her back. "You've got this, Anna," he whispered. "Your work is incredible, and people are going to love it." Anna took a deep breath, feeling his support bolster her confidence. "Thank you, Brian. I couldn't have done this without you." As the evening progressed, Anna received praise and admiration for her photographs. But it was Brian's presence that made the night truly special. He was there, by her side, sharing in her triumphs and offering a reassuring presence whenever she felt overwhelmed. Later that night, as they stood on the balcony of the gallery, looking out over the city, Anna turned to Brian. "You know, I never thought I could feel this way again, but you've shown me that it's possible. You've been my rock through all of this." Brian smiled, his eyes reflecting the city lights. "And you've inspired me, Anna. Your passion, your resilience, it's incredible. I'm so grateful to have met you." They stood in silence for a moment, the city buzzing with life around them. Anna felt a sense of peace, a feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, they had both found something truly special. As the night drew to a close, they walked back to Anna's apartment, hand in hand. The turbulence that had brought them together seemed like a distant memory, replaced by the steady, comforting rhythm of their growing relationship. They had faced their fears, supported each other through challenges, and discovered a connection that neither had expected. In the quiet of the night, as they sat on the sofa, Anna looked at Brian, a smile playing on her lips. "You know, I think this might be the start of something amazing." Brian leaned in, his forehead resting against hers. "I think so too, Anna. And no matter what happens, we'll face it together." In that moment, surrounded by the remnants of their shared journey, they knew that they had found something rare and beautiful. The turbulence of life might still throw challenges their way, but together, they were ready to face whatever came next. Anna's exhibition was off to a promising start, with a buzz of excitement filling the gallery. The walls were adorned with her striking photographs, each capturing raw emotions and powerful moments. The initial response was overwhelmingly positive, with attendees admiring her keen eye for detail and unique perspective. She felt a wave of relief and pride. All her hard work was finally paying off. Brian was by her side, beaming with pride as he watched her interact with the guests, her passion shining through every word. However, as the evening progressed, Anna began to overhear snippets of conversations that were far less favorable. A group of critics had gathered in one corner, their hushed tones carrying a hint of disdain as they dissected her work. "I expected more depth," one of them remarked, his voice dripping with condescension. Another chimed in, "Her compositions lack originality. It feels like she's just trying too hard to be avant-garde." Anna's heart sank at their words. She had poured her soul into these photographs, and hearing such harsh criticism felt like a knife to her heart. She tried to maintain her composure, but the sting of their words lingered, gnawing at her confidence. Brian noticed the change in her demeanor and gently took her hand, leading her to a quieter area of the gallery. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern etched across his face. She took a deep breath, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill. "I thought I was, but hearing those critics, it's hard. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought." Brian squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Anna, you are incredibly talented. Those critics don't define your worth. Your work speaks to people. It evokes emotions. That's what truly matters." Anna looked into Brian's eyes, finding a glimmer of hope in his unwavering support. "But what if they're right? What if I'm just not cut out for this?" Brian shook his head, his voice firm but gentle. "You can't let a few negative opinions overshadow all the positive feedback you've received. Use their criticism as fuel to improve, to push your boundaries even further. You have a gift, Anna. Don't let anyone take that away from you." His words resonated with her, slowly chipping away at the doubt that had settled in her mind. She nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "Thank you, Brian. I don't know what I'd do without you." Brian pulled her into a comforting embrace. "You're stronger than you think, Anna, and no matter what, I'll always be here for you." The rest of the evening passed in a blur, but Anna felt a renewed sense of determination. She decided to focus on the positive feedback and use the criticism constructively. As the gallery began to empty out, she found herself reflecting on Brian's unwavering support. He had been her rock, always there to lift her up when she faltered. She realized that her connection with him was deeper than she had initially thought. Over the next few days, Anna threw herself into her work with a newfound vigor. She revisited her photographs, analyzing them with a critical eye and making adjustments where she felt necessary. Brian continued to encourage her, offering insights and reminding her of her strengths. They spent countless hours together, brainstorming ideas and discussing ways to enhance her art. One evening, as they sat in her studio, surrounded by photographs and sketches, Anna turned to Brian, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You know, I've never had someone believe in me the way you do. It means more to me than you'll ever know." Brian smiled, reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "I believe in you because I see how passionate you are about your work. You have a talent that deserves to be recognized, and I'm just glad I can be here to support you." Anna leaned in, their foreheads touching as she whispered, "I think I'm starting to believe in myself too, thanks to you." Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, fueled by mutual respect and admiration. Anna's confidence began to blossom, and she started to view the criticism not as a setback, but as an opportunity for growth. She experimented with new techniques, pushing the boundaries of her creativity and exploring uncharted territories in her art. Brian's presence was a constant source of inspiration and motivation. He would often surprise her with little notes of encouragement or bring her favorite coffee to help fuel her late-night work sessions. They fell into a comfortable rhythm, balancing their professional endeavors with moments of laughter and shared dreams. One day, as they sat in a cozy cafe, Anna couldn't help but marvel at how far she had come. She reached across the table, taking Brian's hand in hers. "You've changed my life in ways I never imagined. I feel like I can conquer anything with you by my side." Brian's eyes softened, his thumb gently caressing her hand. "And you've brought so much light into my life, Anna. You've shown me what it means to truly connect with someone. I'm grateful for every moment we share." Their relationship had become a beautiful symphony of support and love, each note harmonizing perfectly with the other. Anna no longer doubted her abilities. She embraced her journey with confidence and resilience. And through it all, she knew that Brian would always be there, her steadfast partner in both triumphs and challenges. As they walked hand in hand through the streets of Los Angeles, the city lights casting a warm glow around them, Anna felt a profound sense of peace. The turbulence of their initial meeting had given way to a deep and unwavering connection, one that promised to weather any storm. Anna and Brian had discovered that life, much like a turbulent flight, could be unpredictable and challenging. But they had also learned that with the right person by your side, even the roughest journeys could lead to the most beautiful destinations. Brian had been working tirelessly on his passion project, a revolutionary app designed to connect artists from around the world. It was his brainchild, a beacon of hope in his otherwise monotonous life as an engineer. However, just as the app was nearing its crucial launch phase, a formidable competitor emerged, threatening to overshadow Brian's innovation with their own similar technology. The news hit him like a freight train, leaving him in a state of panic and uncertainty. Anna, who had found herself deeply intertwined with Brian's life since their fateful turbulent flight, immediately sensed his distress. She had been navigating her own career's ups and downs, dealing with the pressures of her first major art exhibition. Yet, seeing Brian so despondent pulled at her heartstrings, she knew she had to be there for him, just as he had been for her during her moments of doubt. "Brian, talk to me. What's going on?" Anna asked gently, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Brian sighed deeply, his frustration evident. "It's this new company, ArtLink. They've developed an app that's almost identical to mine. They have more resources, more exposure. I don't know how I can compete with that." Anna looked into his eyes, seeing the vulnerability that he rarely showed. "You can't give up now. You've put so much heart into this project. Remember why you started it in the first place. It's not about beating them. It's about creating something meaningful for artists everywhere." Her words, filled with sincerity and encouragement, gave Brian a glimmer of hope. They spent hours discussing strategies, brainstorming ways to differentiate his app from the competition. Anna's creative insights were invaluable, offering perspectives that Brian hadn't considered. As they worked side by side, their bond grew even stronger. They had shared their deepest fears and dreams during turbulent times, both literally and figuratively, and now they were united in facing this new challenge together. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Anna suggested they take a short trip to clear their minds. "We need a break, Brian. Just a couple of days away from all this chaos. It will do us both good," she proposed. Brian hesitated at first, worried about the time away from his project, but seeing the earnest plea in Anna's eyes, he relented. "All right, let's do it. We could both use a reset." They decided on a quaint coastal town a few hours away, known for its serene beaches and charming atmosphere. The change of scenery was immediate therapy for their stressed minds. They strolled along the sandy shores, the sound of waves crashing providing a soothing backdrop to their conversations. One night, sitting by a bonfire, Brian opened up about his insecurities. "I always thought that if I worked hard enough, I'd succeed. But now, with this competition, I'm not so sure. What if I'm just not good enough?" Anna took his hand in hers, her voice soft yet firm. "Brian, you are incredibly talented. Your passion and dedication are what set you apart. The world needs your app because it's a reflection of who you are and what you believe in. Don't let the fear of failure overshadow your brilliance." Her unwavering faith in him was both humbling and empowering. Brian realized that his worth wasn't solely defined by his professional achievements, but also by the relationships he nurtured and the impact he had on others. Their trip allowed them to reconnect on a deeper level, away from the distractions and pressures of their careers. They shared stories, laughed, and even shed a few tears as they revisited their individual journeys and the losses they had endured. These moments of vulnerability only served to strengthen their relationship. Upon returning to Los Angeles, Brian felt rejuvenated. He was ready to tackle the challenges ahead with renewed vigor. However, the reality of the competitive landscape quickly set in, and the pressure mounted once more. Anna remained his steadfast supporter, offering a listening ear and words of wisdom whenever he felt overwhelmed. "Remember, it's not about the destination but the journey," she reminded him one evening as they worked late into the night. Brian nodded, absorbing her words. "You're right, and having you by my side makes this journey worth every struggle." As the deadline for the app's launch approached, Brian and Anna found themselves in a whirlwind of activity. They worked tirelessly, balancing their own career demands while making time for each other. Their partnership, both personal and professional, became a testament to their resilience and commitment. Finally, the day came when Brian had to present his project to a panel of potential investors. Anna was there, cheering him on, her presence a constant source of strength. Despite the nerves, Brian delivered a compelling pitch, highlighting the unique features of his app and the community it aimed to build. As the presentation concluded, Brian looked at Anna, who gave him a reassuring smile. No matter the outcome, he knew he had given his all, and that was enough. In the weeks that followed, the feedback from investors was overwhelmingly positive. Brian's app garnered attention for its innovative approach and the passion behind its creation. Though the competition remained fierce, Brian's determination and Anna's unwavering support helped him navigate the challenges. Their journey was far from over, but they had learned to embrace the turbulence and uncertainties of life. Together, they were ready to face whatever came their way, knowing that their bond was the anchor that kept them grounded amidst the storms. During their brief escape from the pressures of their careers, Anna and Brian find themselves in a small, secluded cabin nestled in the woods. The air is crisp, and the leaves dance gently in the breeze, offering a serene backdrop to their retreat. The cabin, with its rustic charm, provides the perfect setting for introspection and connection. As they settle by the fireplace, the flickering flames cast a warm glow on their faces. Anna, holding a mug of hot cocoa, looks at Brian thoughtfully. "You know," she begins, her voice soft, "I haven't really talked about my parents since they passed. It's been difficult." Brian nods, understanding the weight of her words. "I get it," he replies, his eyes reflecting a deep empathy. "I lost my sister a few years ago. She was my best friend, and not a day goes by that I don't think about her." Anna reaches out, placing her hand on Brian's. "I'm sorry, Brian. I didn't know. It's hard to lose someone so close." Brian squeezes her hand gently. "It's okay. I think about the good times we had, and it helps. But there are days when the emptiness feels overwhelming." Anna takes a deep breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "My parents were my biggest supporters. They encouraged my photography, even when it seemed like a hopeless dream. Losing them felt like losing a part of myself." Brian pulls her into a comforting embrace, allowing her to release the emotions she had been holding back. "It's okay to feel that way," he whispers. "Grief is a journey, and it's different for everyone." As they sit in silence, the sound of the crackling fire fills the room, providing a soothing rhythm to their shared sorrow. After a while, Anna pulls away slightly, looking into Brian's eyes. "Thank you for being here," she says. I don't know if I could have opened up like this with anyone else. Brian smiles softly. I'm glad we found each other, Anna. You've brought a new light into my life. The next day, they decide to take a walk through the forest, hoping the fresh air and natural beauty will provide some solace. The path is lined with towering trees, their branches forming a protective canopy overhead. As they walk, they continue to share their stories, their words weaving a tapestry of pain, love, and healing. I remember the day I got my first camera, Anna says, her voice tinged with nostalgia. My dad saved up for months to buy it for me. He believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Brian listens intently, his admiration for Anna growing with each passing moment. Your dad sounds like an amazing man. It's clear he saw something special in you. Anna smiles, a bittersweet expression crossing her face. He was. And now, every photo I take feels like a tribute to him. They continue their walk, the forest gradually giving way to a clearing with a beautiful, tranquil lake. The water is still, reflecting the sky like a mirror. They find a spot by the shore and sit down, the peaceful surroundings providing a sense of calm. Brian takes a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the horizon. My sister and I used to come to a place like this, he says. We'd sit by the water and talk for hours. Those were some of the best moments of my life. Anna rests her head on Brian's shoulder, feeling a deep connection to his memories. It's beautiful here, she whispers. I'm glad we came. As the sun begins to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, they find themselves opening up even more. They talk about their fears, their hopes, and their dreams for the future. Each word brings them closer, strengthening the bond that had begun on that turbulent flight. Just as the last rays of sunlight disappear, Brian's phone rings, breaking the tranquility of the moment. He glances at the screen, his expression shifting to one of concern. It's my boss, he says, his voice tense. I need to take this. Anna nods, giving him a reassuring smile. Go ahead. I'll be here. Brian steps away to take the call, and Anna watches as his posture changes, the calm of their retreat replaced by the stress of work. She can hear snippets of the conversation, enough to know that something urgent has come up. When Brian returns, his face is etched with worry. I have to go back to Los Angeles, he says, frustration evident in his voice. There's a crisis with my project, and they need me there immediately. Anna stands up, placing her hands on his shoulders. I understand, she says softly. Work is important. Go do what you have to do. Brian looks into her eyes, his own filled with a mixture of regret and determination. I hate to leave you here alone, he admits, but I promise I'll make it up to you. Anna smiles, her heart aching at the thought of their separation, but knowing that his responsibilities can't be ignored. We'll have plenty of time when you get back, she reassures him. Go save your project. They share a lingering kiss, a silent promise of their commitment to each other. As Brian leaves to pack his things, Anna takes one last look at the serene lake, hoping that this moment of peace will carry them through the challenges ahead. The drive back to the city is filled with a heavy silence. Brian's mind races with thoughts of his project, while Anna reflects on the deep connection they've formed. Despite the urgency of the situation, they both feel a sense of gratitude for the time they've spent together, knowing that it has strengthened their bond in ways they couldn't have imagined. As they part ways at the airport, Brian pulls Anna into a tight embrace. I'll be back as soon as I can, he promises. And when this is all over, we'll have more time together. Anna nods, tears brimming in her eyes. I'll be waiting, she says, her voice filled with determination. Good luck, Brian. With a final kiss, they part ways, each carrying the memory of their shared retreat as a source of strength and hope. As Brian returned to Los Angeles to address the crisis at work, Anna continued her journey alone. The separation was bittersweet. It gave Anna time to reflect on her burgeoning relationship with Brian. She wandered through small towns and picturesque landscapes, her camera capturing the essence of solitude and contemplation. Each click of the shutter was a meditative act, a way to process her feelings about the man who had unexpectedly entered her life during a turbulent flight. As she sat in a quiet cafe, sipping on a cup of herbal tea, Anna's thoughts kept drifting back to Brian. She remembered their candid conversations, the shared laughter, and the emotional support they provided each other. It was clear to her that Brian had become much more than just a travel companion. He was someone who understood her deeply, someone she could see a future with. The realization hit her like a wave, and she knew she had to be there for him, just as he had been there for her. Determined, Anna booked a flight back to Los Angeles. The moment she landed, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew Brian was facing immense pressure with his project, and she wanted to support him in any way she could. As she made her way to his office, she recalled their discussions about his innovative app designed to connect artists globally. The passion in his voice when he talked about it was infectious, and she admired his dedication. When Anna arrived at Brian's office, it was bustling with activity. The tension in the air was palpable as his team worked tirelessly to save the project. Brian looked up from his desk and saw Anna standing at the entrance. His eyes widened in surprise and relief. He quickly made his way over to her, pulling her into a tight embrace. "Anna, what are you doing here?" Brian asked, his voice filled with a mix of astonishment and gratitude. "I couldn't stay away," Anna replied, her eyes locking with his. "You supported me during my exhibition. It's my turn to be here for you." Her words were a balm to his stressed mind. With renewed energy, Brian introduced Anna to his team. She quickly became an integral part of the group, using her organizational skills and creative insights to help streamline their efforts. They worked day and night, driven by a shared goal and the unspoken bond that had formed between them. As the deadline approached, the team's dedication began to pay off. The app was coming together beautifully, and Brian was impressed by Anna's ability to inspire and motivate everyone around her. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Brian and Anna found a quiet moment alone in the office kitchen. They leaned against the counter, sipping on lukewarm coffee. "You know, I couldn't have done this without you," Brian said, his eyes reflecting the depth of his gratitude. Anna smiled, her gaze softening. "We're a team, Brian. I believe in you and your vision." Their hands found each other, fingers intertwining. The connection between them felt stronger than ever, forged in the crucible of hard work and mutual respect. Finally, the day of the presentation arrived. The team gathered in the conference room, their faces a mix of exhaustion and anticipation. Brian stood at the front, ready to unveil their creation to the world. As he began his presentation, Anna watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Investors and potential partners were impressed by the app's potential to revolutionize the way artists connected and collaborated. Brian's vision had come to life, and it was clear that their hard work had paid off. After the presentation, Brian and Anna stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. The Los Angeles skyline stretched out before them, a testament to their shared journey. "We did it," Brian said, his voice tinged with disbelief and joy. Anna nodded, her eyes shining with happiness. "Yes, we did. Together." In that moment, they both understood that the turbulence that had brought them together was just the beginning of their extraordinary journey. Their partnership, forged in the chaos of a storm, had blossomed into something beautiful and enduring. And as they stood there, hand in hand, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united by the unpredictable and transformative power of love. On the day of Brian's final project presentation, the atmosphere in the conference room was electric with anticipation. Colleagues and investors were gathered, their faces illuminated by the soft, sterile glow of the overhead lights. Brian stood at the front, his palms slightly sweaty, his heartbeat rapid. Anna, seated in the front row, gave him a reassuring smile, her eyes filled with pride and encouragement. As Brian began his presentation, detailing the innovative features of his app designed to connect artists globally, there was a palpable silence in the room, a collective holding of breath. He spoke passionately about the inspiration behind the project, mentioning how the collaboration with Anna had fueled his creativity and drive. Just as he was about to conclude, a man in a sharp suit stood up from the back of the room. It was Mr. Reynolds, the CEO of a major tech company and a formidable competitor in the industry. The room buzzed with murmurs as he walked to the front, interrupting Brian's presentation. "Brian," Mr. Reynolds began, his voice smooth and confident, Your app is truly remarkable. It addresses a gap in the market that no one else has managed to fill. My company would like to make you an offer to buy your app." A stunned silence fell over the room. Anna's heart skipped a beat as she watched Brian's reaction. He seemed momentarily taken aback, his mind racing. The offer was tempting. It promised financial security and the backing of a major corporation. But as he glanced at Anna, he saw in her eyes the essence of why he started this journey. A vision of independence, creativity, and connecting artists without corporate constraints. "Thank you, Mr. Reynolds," Brian began, his voice steady but firm. "I appreciate the offer, but I must decline. This project is more than just an app. It's a mission to empower artists and create a community free from corporate influence. With Anna's support, I've decided to launch it independently." The room erupted in a mix of gasps and applause. Anna's heart swelled with pride and admiration. She knew the magnitude of Brian's decision and what it meant for their shared vision. As the presentation concluded, people began to approach Brian, congratulating him and expressing their support for the independent launch. Later that evening, at the launch ceremony for the app, the atmosphere was celebratory. The venue was adorned with artwork from various artists who had already begun to connect through Brian's platform. Anna wandered through the space, her eyes catching glimpses of paintings, photographs, and sculptures, each telling a unique story of its creator. Brian approached her, a nervous energy about him that Anna hadn't seen before. "Anna, can we talk for a moment?" he asked, gently taking her hand and leading her to a quieter corner of the room. "Brian, what's going on?" Anna asked, her curiosity piqued by his unusual demeanor. He took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto hers with a mixture of determination and vulnerability. "Anna, meeting you was the most unexpected and wonderful thing that has ever happened to me. The turbulence that brought us together was just the beginning of an incredible journey. You've inspired me, supported me, and stood by me through every challenge." Anna felt her eyes welling up with tears of joy as she listened to Brian's heartfelt words. Brian continued, his voice trembling slightly, "I can't imagine my life without you. You've become my partner in every sense of the word, and I want to make it official." Reaching into his pocket, Brian pulled out a small, velvet box. He opened it to reveal a beautiful, delicate engagement ring. "Anna, will you marry me?" he asked, his eyes searching hers with hope and love. Anna's breath caught in her throat, her heart pounding. She had never expected this moment to come in such a public setting, surrounded by the art and people that had become so integral to their journey. But as she looked at Brian, she knew her answer without hesitation. "Yes, Brian. Yes, I will marry you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. The room, having noticed the intimate moment unfolding, erupted into applause and cheers. Tears streamed down Anna's face as Brian slipped the ring onto her finger. They hugged tightly, feeling the weight of the moment and the promise of their future together. As they stood there, enveloped in the warmth of the celebration, Anna and Brian realized that their journey had only just begun. The turbulence that had once seemed so daunting now felt like a distant memory, a necessary prelude to the life they were building together. They had faced their personal challenges, supported each other's dreams, and found love in the most unexpected circumstances. In that moment, surrounded by the art and community they had helped to foster, Anna and Brian knew that they could weather any storm together. Their love had been forged in the chaos of a turbulent flight, and now it was soaring to new heights, promising a future filled with adventure, creativity, and unwavering partnership.